Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction, first impressions blind reaction, to Hailey's On It. So, this series, I guess, just recently started, and I had seen like a trailer for it leading up, and I'll be honest, I didn't see what people were hyped about. Because apparently, people were hyped. Like, there was people, a lot of people, saying that this could be the next Owl House. And I think this is the biggest reason why I wasn't excited for this, and the biggest reason that actually irritated me about this. And I know that's unfair to the show, unfair to the creators and the people who worked on it, but the fact that people were saying this when shows like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur and The Ghost of Molly McGee exist annoys me. Because both of those shows are already what you could say are the new Owl House. And yes, Ghost of Molly McGee started when Owl House was still airing, but still. I think Moon Girl technically did too. The point is, they're basically the next set of shows that are already like that. And you can add this one to it, maybe. But to try and like ignore those shows, and a lot of people seem to be ignoring those shows. They are very underrated and have gotten so little attention. And I don't know if that's just because of Disney's doing like poor marketing for them and poor releasing and everything, but the point is they're getting very little attention, definitely a lot less than they should be. And yet this one just seems to come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden people are like just losing their minds over it. And the entire argument, by the way, as well, about like, oh, but Ghost of Molly McGee and Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur are episodic. They're not story based and everything. It's like, one, Owl House was at first too, as was Amphibia and other stuff, so you can't say that yet. You don't know if these shows are going to stay episodic or start a story. Two, Ghost of Molly McGee already has started multiple story points that are going to be continued on with in the future. Multiple notable stories. In fact, season 2 already has had one major ongoing story. So to try and say that like they're not doing that with these shows is just lies. And Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur I'm not very far into yet, but it seems to definitely be going in that kind of route too. It's currently, as of where I'm at and all, still very episodic, yes. But I'm also like, what, 4 or 5 episodes in? So to be fair. Also, it very much is setting up things for the future and for a potential ongoing plot. It's like, you're just ignoring these shows. But it's not even just that kept me from being hyped for this. Like I said, I saw one of the trailers. I don't know if there were multiple trailers, but I saw a trailer. I don't like how it looks. I think the art and animation are outdated as hell, honestly. It looks cheap. And that might have just been the trailer. It might look better within context and everything. But it looked cheap to me. It looked like some kind of discount series. Like, honestly, Phineas and Ferb back in the day had better animation than what we saw in that trailer. And I'm talking when Phineas and Ferb first started and shit. Not like Candace Against the Universe or anything. I'm talking when the series first started. The animation was better than what we saw in this trailer. It was actually really disappointing. And mind you, I can understand if this show was made over COVID time, but they should have held back on releasing it until they could improve on the animation and everything. Not to mention, I'm just not into the character design so far. And I know that's just a minor thing, but none of them have done it for me. And then there's the perceived plot based on what I saw in the trailer. This woman comes from the future and tells this girl, she's important, and her like book, her diary or whatever, I don't remember exactly what it was. Like, it wasn't a diary, it was like a book of like plans or things she wanted to do or something. But that's going to be like important to saving the world or something somehow. And it's like, this just sounds dumb. It just sounds like a dumb, boring, generic kind of time travel, sci-fi, you're the chosen one story. Owl House was great because it defied the chosen one trope actively. Luz wasn't some heroic chosen one. She had to work to get to where she was and had to basically die to be able to come back with the Titan power and defeat Belos. She was not some magical chosen one. She earned her abilities. She had to work towards that. Anne from Amphibia was more of a chosen one. But in general, that trope is just kind of outdated and just not really that great anymore. And it just seems like going back to that at this point just doesn't work as well. Because even with Amphibia, Anne had to earn a lot of that herself. She still had to work and train and everything. She didn't just be... She was the chosen one in terms of, like, gaining these magical powers. But everything other than that, her growth as a character, her fighting ability came from herself. Came from training and whatnot. So... the point is, I just... nothing about the plot seemed interesting to me. But I'm willing to give it a chance, because I've seen trailers before that have been misleading and that have not been a good representation of shows or movies or whatnot. So I'm willing to give it a shot, but it's definitely going to be as a first impressions, because I feel like I'm just not sold on the series yet. It would have to... it would have to do something to sell me on it. And that's what a first episode is for. Its point is to introduce the world, the characters, the plot, and to sell the viewer on watching more. That is literally the point of the first episode. If you're not working to sell the viewer on more, then your first episode, your series is going to fail. It's not going to work. Because a lot of people won't continue to tune in. And it's not saying it has to be the best episode of your series, but it just has to be enough to get people interested in coming back for more. Owl House understood that. I would say that Ruby understood that. Even My Little Pony Friendship is Magic understood that. And mind you, the first episode of that was the first of a two-parter. So to be fair, you had to come back just to see the rest of the plot at the beginning. But also, it was actually really interesting, too, which was surprising going into it, because it's like, you wouldn't, as an outsider, think My Little Pony would be that interesting. But then you watch it, and it's like, this is My Little Pony? Star versus the Forces of Evil, Steven Universe, a lot of these shows, that's what they do. And there are some exceptions. Amphibia's first episode was not that great. At least in my opinion. It didn't hook me in as well, and honestly, if I were to base it just on the first episode, I would not have continued to watch that show. It needed more episodes, it needed to get better. But it did not start off as good as it should have. The point of all of this and everything is that I'm going into this skeptical. Because everything I've seen leading up to this has been disappointing. And there's also the admittedly petty side of things, I guess you could say, where it's just like, I'm just upset at the people who are saying this is going to be the next Owl House when shows like that already exist. and it's like, just watch Ghost of Molly McGee, just watch Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur. They're already the next line. If this one ends up being really good and surprising me, I don't know. Maybe it could join that lineup too. But we're going to have to leave it to the episode itself to find that out. So, let's get this going. When the screen fades to black and pauses... Wow, I messed that up big time. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, wow, I am just blanking today. I have a lot on my mind. That being said, thank you all so much for tuning in, and for now, I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So the only... excuse me. So the only character I'm thinking that Adam MacArthur maybe was the Tunnel of Love operator. Like, I checked some of, like, the others, like the operator for the Gravitron, and it's like, I don't think that was him. And I don't think he was, like, the radio DJ voice that we heard. Though I could be wrong on that one, I guess. But I think he might have been the Tunnel of Love operator. Anyway. And I couldn't find out. I couldn't figure out who Greg Griffin would have been. This... I don't know, like, what the plan for this is going to be. But this didn't impress me. There's a couple things that were funny or slightly interesting, but there's a lot of this that was annoying or just bad, in my opinion. The art and animation, it's like the art, visually, the art looks like it's trying to be modern with its coloring and whatnot. But the actual, like, designs just don't do it for me. Like, at all. I'm not saying they're, like, necessarily bad. It's just they don't stand out. Like, when you look at a lot of these other big cartoons, Owl House, Amphibia, Ghost of Molly McGee, they have notable design styles to them. The characters stand out, even if they look just like normal people, because the style is so distinct. It's unique. This doesn't do that. It doesn't have a unique, distinct style. It just feels bland. And again, the lady from the future looked like a Rick and Morty character. Like, that's not just me, right? And again, I'm not saying in a good way either. Because I don't like the designs for Rick and Morty either, by the way. But, like, not even, like, actually from Rick and Morty, like a discount Rick and Morty. Like a generic off-brand Rick and Morty. But still trying to be Rick and Morty. And it's just, she felt so out of place with all the other character designs. Like, I am not kidding. That design did not fit in this world. It'd be like introducing a Simpsons character to the Owl House. It's so distractingly different than every other design. And by the way, I have no fucking clue why I thought of Simpsons and Owl House there. But it's like, would that not be distracting? It's such a drastically different design style than everything else. And it's like, maybe they did that to just emphasize that she's from the future and that it's like different and all, but it's distracting. It doesn't work. It just feels off. On top of that, the animation itself is weird. It's like, it's especially notable when you see Hailey like do a bunch of this parkour stuff, which it's like she could just do somehow. Like what she did in the Gravitron, it's like how the fuck did she do that? It's like her excuse is like I don't know, I just did, and it's like that doesn't actually explain anything, you know. She just acted, but how? How did she do that? That feels unrealistic unless you're going for a chosen one kind of story, and not just a chosen one kind of story, but a chosen one story where they have some kind of hidden abilities or powers that they never knew about. And like I said, I'm usually not a fan of those stories. It would take something like it would take a series doing it really well to make me actually get into that. And this is really not. Also, the pacing is garbage. The pacing is absolutely garbage. It tries to do this cold open thing like Gravity Falls did. It's like, oh, with Gravity Falls, oh, you wonder why we're being chased by this horrific monstrosity, and then it reveals later on how that happens. Except this one, it does that, and then reveals it like within the first like 5-10 minutes, and it's like, one, that's way too early to reveal that, and two, it was so ridiculously paced that it just did not work, because it's like, one, the future lady should not have come in until the end of the episode. That should have been how the episode ended. Having it basically start on that, it doesn't work. It logically and thematically and pacing wise makes no sense. And then after that, you kind of have like this little montage of things, and it's like it just keeps rushing through everything, going from different story beats at like super speed, and it's really distracting because you never really get a time to like get into anything. The county fair or whatever it was, that's the longest period of time you actually get to focus on anything in this episode. And it even rushes through a lot of that. It's like you only see a couple things happen. And it's just, the pacing just does not work. The plot is honestly kind of boring and makes it feel like this is going to be very episodic. Like, people are saying this is going to be the next Owl House, like, especially with stories. It's like, no. Not, like, definitely not in terms of, like, story. Like, yes, there's an overarching story right from the start, but this is very clearly going to be an episodic thing. It's like, oh, what thing are we going to, or what one or two or whatever things are we going to cross off the list this time? Oh, we're probably not going to do the entire Kiss Scott to no-go thing until the very end of the season, because that's how this shit goes. Um, it's so bland. And it just comes across as it's going to be a generic episode of the week, list item of the week kind of thing. Like, this is one of those shows I can't see becoming more story focused, like Owl House or Amphibia or whatnot. Ghost of Molly McGee pretty much already is, but definitely will become even more so. I'm very much convinced of that. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaurs, I'm also already convinced of that. But this, no. I see this more like Big City Greens, which isn't necessarily bad, but the other stuff as well kind of builds into why I didn't enjoy this, and I'll get to more of that in a moment here. But like with Big City Greens, it's very episodic, and from what I've been told, that's all it is. It's one of those shows like Phineas and Ferb or whatnot, where it never really gains an ongoing story, because that's not what it's about. It has continuity and stuff, but that's about it. And it might have a couple smaller stories here that build into one another, but that's about it. And it's like, okay. And for Big City Greens, it works, because they handle it well. They make the stories fascinating, they make the characters interesting, It has a unique style, design, and feel that sets it apart from other shows. It's just, and on top of all of this, there's other like smaller issues here too with this first episode at least. The humor is bad. Like there's again a couple things that might have been okay and funny, but most of the humor is terrible. It's so unfunny, like actively unfunny. It's not even so much that it's like groan worthy or cringy. It's just it's actively not funny. The humor is not humor. There's no jokes to what they're trying to do. Like I don't it's the thing is they also make it very apparent when you're supposed to laugh. Like there you can almost see the laugh track or not the laugh track. You can almost see the sign cueing the laugh track above the stage. That's how fucking apparent it is. Like the only thing they're not doing is pausing and staring at the screen waiting for you to laugh. It's very clear where they expect you to laugh because they just make it basically part of the episode. And it's just like that wasn't funny. You didn't just do or say anything funny. Why are we supposed to laugh here? Why are you very clearly telling us and showing us that we're supposed to laugh here? What? And on top of that, I don't like Hailey. That's probably one of the biggest things for me. I've talked about it before, but characters are one of the big, um, basically deal breakers for me with the series. I have to at least enjoy watching the characters, or at least some of the characters. Um, and they have to be likable to a good degree, and I don't mean likable as if they have to be like good people, because I've gotten into a lot of shows where the main characters are bad people, like Death Note. That doesn't mind as long as they're still fun to watch. They're enjoyable to watch. The problem is Hailey isn't. I don't like the entire thing with her, like, oh, I'm afraid to try new things. It's like, that's not an endearing character trait. In fact, that kind of turns me away from her quite a bit. It's like, yes, there's a lot of people in real life who are afraid to try new things. But it's like, what are we supposed to feel towards this? Like, what is your goal here? What is your game? I don't understand the expectation. Are we supposed to, like, root for her when she does try these new things? Are we supposed to feel for her? Are we supposed to, like, emotionally attach ourselves to her? Because I definitely can't. It's just, I don't get what they're going for. Because the show doesn't seem like it understands either. She's not, she's just not, right off the bat, that likable of a character. She's not, like, hateable or anything. It's not like I dislike her or like I feel like she's terrible or anything. No. Seems like a nice girl. But she's not, like, likable in terms of, oh, I like her character. No, I don't. She's boring. She bores the shit out of me. Scott as a airheaded love interest slash what would be the word? Sidekick character. He's so bland. He is so bland. He has no personality. He's just like he's practically more of a robot than the actual fucking robot. The robot has more actual personality than him. He's just like, I do parkour, I funny, I laugh at your joke that's not actually a joke. It's like, what? Like, actually emote. It feels like he's on, like, some kind of, like, track, I guess would be the word. No, that wouldn't be the word. My mind is going fuzzy today on certain things. He feels like one of those talking toys, like a Furby or something, where it's like he only has a certain amount of things he can say or whatnot, but outside of that, he's just blank and emotionless, and it's just, and he's not emotionless. You know what I mean. I'm bad at describing things. He's so bland, and then you have this character who's supposed to kind of be a rival, but is not, because even Hailey admits she's just genuinely super nice and friendly and everything. And she seems like an absolute gem, but for some reason Hailey has this, like, angst towards her, and it's like, what? I don't understand. Like, if she's super nice and lovely and just this wonderful girl, there is literally no reason for Hailey to have angst against her. Literally no reason. It feels unnatural. It doesn't feel believable. And even if they were trying to make that a joke, again, there's no joke there. There's no joke. It's not a joke. Like, I also feel like they were trying to make a joke out of the fact that she has, like, 2,000 followers. It's like, she's the most popular girl in school. She has 2,000 followers. It's like, that's not a lot at all. Like, that's actually not a lot at all. 2,000 is nothing. In terms of social media, 2,000 is nothing. It's like, mind you, I don't have that high, but I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that my channels and everything are nothing. But it's like it's very clear that was meant to be a joke, or at least I hope that's the vibe I was getting. I hope that the vibe I was getting from that was correct, because that was another one of those examples where it felt like they were basically expecting you to laugh there, which is fucking weird because there was no joke there. But it's like, and if they were being serious, if that was supposed to be like legit, it's like, you know nothing about social media if you think that 2,000 means anything. Like, 2,000 followers? Casey would laugh at that. From Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, for those who might not know. That was just like a weird moment that felt off, because I don't know what they were going for. If they were going for a joke, it doesn't work. If they were being serious about that, it doesn't work. The entire rescuing the squid from the radio station thing, too, is just like, why? It's like you're trying to be quirky and silly and fun, and it's like, this doesn't feel believable and natural. It feels like you're forcing goofiness and eccentricity rather than letting it happen naturally. And it's a little annoying, if I'm being honest. It's just this, to put it in the simplest terms, based on just this first episode, I am acknowledging all of these complaints are just this first episode, might be fixed in future ones, I don't know. But I would say that I would refer to this series as extremely try-hard. It's trying to be quirky. It's trying to be eccentric. It's trying to be fun. It's trying to copy stuff like Gravity Falls. It blatantly tried to copy Gravity Falls with that cold open. Except revealing that so early on as to what was actually happening didn't work. The reason it worked in Gravity Falls is because it basically took the entire episode to build up to that reveal. And the pacing in Gravity Falls' first episode actually, was good. Instead of just jumping around like your ass is on fire. It was so like rushed and disjointed and just not actively not funny with characters I just couldn't care less about. Amphibia had a better opening episode than this, and I was not really into Amphibia's first episode. This was just disappointing. I really did try to give it the benefit of the doubt. I gave it a chance. I was hoping to hell this would prove me wrong. I like being proven wrong when I have especially negative, well, mainly negative, first impressions of a series based on a trailer or something. I want to be proven wrong by the series proper. Hell of a Boss proved me wrong after the pilot. The pilot was terrible, and I stand by that. And yet, the series itself has been phenomenal. It proved me wrong on my initial thoughts on what the series was going to be like. And again, this could do the same. This series could improve. But the point of these first impressions reactions are to base it off of the first episode and determine if I want to continue it based on that. Because like I said in the pre-thoughts, the entire point of the first episode is to hook you in, to make you want to see more. And this actively made me want to see less. At this point, I think the only way I would continue this is if it was like a donation reward. Because I am not continuing this otherwise. This is not going to be put onto my list for later. I have no plans to continue to get to this. This just was not good, in my opinion. And if you like it, that's fine. Keep in mind, all of this is my opinion, my viewpoint, based on my personal experience watching it. It's just opinion. It's subjective. If you liked this, if you loved this, that's perfectly fine, and I support that. I want to make that clear, that this is just my viewpoint. So, please don't get mad at me. I'm just sharing an opinion, my dudes. But yeah. And on that note, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of Hailey's On It? Were you able to get into it more than I was, clearly? Which probably would not be hard. Or did you find a lot of issues with it like I did? That just made it hard to... What is that bird out there? I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know if that's picking up. There's a loud-ass bird out there. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but that is Jesus. No, the bird is not Jesus. But... See, that was an actual joke. Unlike anything in this first episode. Anyway, I could go on ranting about this, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that to myself or to you. Especially for anybody who actually likes this. Again, just keep in mind, it's all subjective. It's just my opinion. But tell me your thoughts below, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.